spotlighting the very best at Geneva College Golden Tornado Athletics. This is Tornado Tuesday. And now, here are your hosts, Van Zanic and Andrew Fee.
Welcome back to Tornado Tuesdays. We're excited to be back after a busy week in Geneva Athletics, possibly the busiest Saturday we've ever had. And we won't be able to say that for maybe only another week because the next two Saturdays are going to beat the last Saturday. But we're excited to have everyone playing. It's just been a joy to get everyone off to a great start. And, you know, this week, Van, men's basketball team hosting St. Vincent in the second round of the PAC tournament as the number 2 seed, and really looking forward to that game.
Yeah, we took a week off from Tornado Tuesday. Well, the men's and women's basketball team took a week off as well. It's kind of a unique schedule for them at the end of their regular season because they were pretty much able to get all their games in as scheduled. Had a pretty significant layoff now. So women's basketball, first round game against Grove City, and then the men start at home against Waynesburg at the number 2 seed. So it's going to be a fun week. Hopefully we'll play well. And the guys in particular have had just a really, really special season. The women, of course, have made a great turnaround from what they've been in the years past and getting the number 6 seed in the tournament. So it's going to be fun to watch. Looking forward to being there and seeing the guys do well.
Yeah, and they've finished 6th, the women, and that's been the highest PAC finish in history. And the last few weeks when they did play, we just have seen records being beat. I feel like every tweet that goes out from Geneva Athletics is about a record being beat. So really just some great success there. But, you know, our soccer teams kicked off last week. They'll be hosting Franciscan this week. And just came off a couple good victories against Teal. Especially the men winning 8-1. Really impressive offensive night for them.
Yeah, it's really great to see our teams, and we were kind of hopeful that, you know, with all the practicing that we were able to do as a department in the first semester, that we would reap some benefits here in the second semester. That certainly held true. Certainly the opening night for men's and women's soccer it was nice to see the women come up with a first opening night shutout victory 2-0, and then the men just exploding offensively with 8 goals. And so I don't think can expect that every game. I don't think Coach Dunda would tell you have those expectations, but obviously some good starts for both the men's and women's soccer teams. And then they're going to be fun to watch. Again, it's a condensed season with just 9 regular season games and then the semifinals and finals. But certainly both teams getting off to a great start. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, and we should mention, too, interim coach Doug Miller getting his first win, which was really exciting for him and the team as well. But, you know, women's volleyball is off this week until actually they go to Teal on Tuesday, and then they're back home on Saturday. They beat Franciscan late last week, 3-0. So we're starting to see them start rolling again after a tough loss against Westminster. They're really competing well.
Yeah, we knew that Westminster and Geneva were probably going to be the cream of the crop when it comes to the PAC, and suffered a loss there against the Titans. We're able to win the second game. Of course, the first one is the only one that matters in terms of conference standings, the way the format works this year. But if I was to guess, I think that we might see those two teams get together again here once the postseason rolls around. But Coach Smith has her teams ready to play. They're playing really, really well. And then the men's team as well. They're just they've been playing for it seems like a lot of weeks, but they haven't started conference games yet. So that was supposed to start Saturday, but Hilbert had some COVID issues, so they had to postpone that match till April 1st. So this will be the first week this week coming up where Coach Concert will actually have his guys playing conference matches. So I think they've played a really difficult non-conference schedule. We've talked about that in previous episodes. So I think they're in a really good place to compete at a high level in the AMCC.
Yeah, they play Penn State Altoona at home on Saturday, or on Wednesday, and then come back home on Saturday as well. So again, busy week. Women's tennis also kicked off last week with a victory, a close one, and they'll be back in action this week as well. But we're going to be joined with Coach Sumner on this episode. We haven't had him on the show yet, and really their game Wednesday at Teal their games were interesting, and then they came back home and played Teal again, a lot of innings on Saturday. So just been an interesting. I guess it was supposed to be 4 games. It feels like it was a lot more than that, but some really great offensive numbers for them during those games.
Yeah, it ended up only being 3 games because game 3 went so long. So they had a suspended game coming from Teal that they had to finish on Saturday. So ended up splitting those first 2. And then game 3 of the series went 12 innings. And Geneva was able to find a way to win 11-10. So came back late. I think they were down 3 runs in the 9th inning and were able to tie it up and went to extra innings and were able to come away with a victory. And that game went so long that the 4th game never made it to the 5th inning. So it was considered a no contest, but off to a nice 2-1 start in the conference against Teal, who traditionally has been a pretty solid team, at least offensively they have been. So, it's nice to see the baseball team get off to a good start as well. And I'm excited to talk to my former coach, Coach Sumner. We'll get a chance to catch up with him here momentarily.
Yeah, and softball, Van, we should definitely discuss that. Softball was in action last week, second week playing, back in action on Tuesday, this Tuesday against Waynesburg. So kind of up and down start to the year for the softball team. I'll let you speak to that a little more.
Yeah, I mean, I think we started the week with Westminster, and I think from what I've seen and what I can tell from the rest of the conference, Westminster again in softball seems to be at top level. They're one of the best Westminster teams that I think we've faced in a long time. So they took 2 games from us, competitive games for sure. I mean, we had some chances, and they took advantage of some, and we didn't. So they won 2. Then we came back and responded with a couple nice wins against Bethany, and then split with Grove City on Saturday, which was nice to get the second game when you lose the first one in a close fashion. But again, I think we're trending in the right direction as a team. Again, these games are all considered non-conference in March. So once we get to April and start playing conference games, I like the way that our team is trending, and I think we're going to be in the mix for sure. So some great offensive performances from a lot of different folks. We're scoring runs, and that's nice to see. So an exciting team to watch, I think, and we'll see how things continue to roll.
Yeah, and then we should also mention men's tennis gets started on Saturday versus St. Vincent, and the cross-country championships will be down at Bethany this Saturday, and they've had little time off to prepare for those. So again, just a jam-packed athletic week. It will be the busiest Saturday in Geneva athletics history, but we can't be happier to be in that situation.
We haven't even started football season yet, so that starts next weekend. Next Friday night will be the football opener on the 26th. So that'll be great to see Coach DeMarco and his guys getting back out there and doing it. They've been practicing for several weeks now, so that'll be fun. But yeah, Coach Thompson, the cross country team, the women who, of course, narrowly finished second last year when the last time they had a cross country championship at Waynesburg, and those seem to be the 2 teams competing again at the top of the conference. So I know his ladies are ready to go, and the guys have performed well as well so far this season. So be a very competitive Saturday for cross country. They're going to be running over at Bethany for the conference championship.
Well, we'll be right back after a short little break with the interview with Coach Alan Sumner. Welcome back to Tornado Tuesdays. We're joined with head baseball coach Alan Sumner. Alan, my first question is, this is the first month that in recent years that you worked at Geneva without your wife working a couple offices down. How has that been? And answer carefully.
It's been different. It's been good though. I think she's very happy and excited for this new season in her life. She definitely misses the soccer. She was really excited they got their first win on Saturday. She was able to sneak down and see a few minutes of it in between our ball games here. So she's doing well, and we're adjusting.
So, Coach, we hadn't had a chance to talk with you throughout the fall. Just if we go back to, basically a year ago today, down in Florida and what everyone had to go through with obviously the postponement of the season and how abrupt that was for a lot of us. Just talk us through a little bit about that moment and how difficult that was for you, and in particular your senior guys that their careers were over at that point.
Yeah, it was an interesting day. We had, I think, finally kind of started to hit our stride down there in Florida, and had just come off a good win the day before. We had split a good doubleheader, won the second game, and we were getting ready to get on the field. And I don't usually have my phone on me, but unfortunately, it was in my back pocket, and it kept vibrating and vibrating. I'm like, who's trying to get a hold of me? And sure enough, it was you, uh, telling us to get off the field. And it was tough. It was a bittersweet day in that having to kind of pull them all together and tell them that. Uh, but the Lord and His wisdom for all of us, He allowed us to kind of stay around the field and have a little bit of closure there with everyone. And the way things played out, we did have one senior that wasn't going to be back this year, and Josh Grant, who was one of our top pitchers. So we definitely miss him this year. But again, he had plans that were coming up pretty quickly as far as graduation and getting married, and that all played out pretty well for him. But for the rest of us, it was, turned into a long year, and we finally got to get back out here and play this past weekend. So we're excited to be here. I think everyone's kind of made it through okay, and just looking for good things this year.
Yeah, fast forward to this point, you started up at Teal last Wednesday. Offensively, pretty good showing. Just talk through some of those offensive weapons you have on the team so far.
Yeah, we've I think for the first time here in a few years, we kind of have a pretty strong lineup all the way up and down where there's potential offensive success. And we have three guys right in the middle of the order this past weekend, in Abram King and Garrison Wheeland and Donald Dungy, a freshman, who kind of fill the 3, 4, and 5 hole for us with really some offensive power to drive the ball over the outfielder's head. So having that power in the middle really helps you do some things in front of it and behind it. And yeah, we just got very fortunate. Who would have thought that without any preseason and having to walk right into a conference game, that we'd be able to do that on day one?
So that's not actually a backdrop behind you. That's actually the actual field at 33rd Street. So
Yeah, this is actually our field. We got to come out here. I thought maybe it'd be nice just to be outside and see the sunshine and the blue sky. And got a few of our guys, Keith and them, are over here working on our on the batting tunnel area, and just it's a gorgeous day out here.
that's tremendous. Well, Coach, handicap for us a little bit in terms of the PAC. Like you have to obviously start with W&J. They're the team that has had the most recent success, even in terms of regionally and nationally. And so, they're obviously at the probably the top of what you're looking at. But other than that, I mean, talk a little bit about some of these teams you're going to be competing against, and where do you think things will fall?
Yeah, W&J, they do stand right out there with the fact that, I think they were even ranked in the preseason polls nationally. Just a really strong program down there. Jeff does a great job with them. The pack itself, I think, really from top to bottom, is just very competitive. We all kind of got started this weekend. I think, for the majority of us, we're all packed in there in the middle with teams either finishing 2-1 or 1-2. I think a couple teams went 3-0 and 0-3, but just depends on who you matched up with. But the offense, I think, is always a strength in this whole entire conference. There'll be a lot of guys that can hit the ball. The teams I think will start to separate themselves are the ones that are able to develop their pitching staffs, with the fact that we're playing, 4 games, probably in the matter of about a 36-hour period on a typical weekend. You've got to have a strong pitching staff to get through it. Just like our weekend showed, we had 20 some runs scored almost, in each one of those games. It seemed like, scores of 11-10, 10-8, 12-6. You've got to be able to withstand a lot of offense coming at you and realize it's a long day, and you just have to kind of bide your time and not panic. And if you get down early, you try to weather the storm and come out in the middle of the game. And if you get ahead, you just really kind of have to keep going, because you can't play prevent defense.
So, Alan, you've been here. This is your 33rd season this year, longest tenured baseball coach. Don't know who was on. I don't know any of the players on your first team, but
yeah, it was an interesting group.
Yeah, I can imagine. But talk about this season in particular. How is it? different from your previous seasons? I mean, we've talked about it's a little more compact, but having really no fall games, do you think that's played an impact at all?
Yeah, I think it has. I think the one thing I will say on a positive note, with the way that the NCAA decided to approach this year for all the teams, as far as uh, adapting a little bit on the off-season practice schedule, being able to get guys here in September, and we played a lot of intra-squad games. We knew that whether it was our guys losing last season and getting to play very few summer games, or it was our freshmen coming in who lost their high school seasons, they hadn't played a lot of baseball, just hadn't had a lot of innings. So we decided to spend the majority of our time this fall playing inter squad games, letting our pitchers get a lot of innings themselves. And I think that really helped us. You could tell even up at Teal last Wednesday that the baseball IQ was a little bit stronger, as I would call it, that they had a better idea of what they were doing on the base paths and what they were trying to do as an approach to the plate. And like I said, having the offensive abilities, I think that will carry on through this year. Um, really helped us kind of start that way, because typically the pitchers are going to be ahead of the hitters at the start of the year just because you're not outside hitting. We do have a couple teams that are able to do a little more live hitting in the off season than others, but that was really our first day out, and for whatever reason, we were able to get the bats going early. So it's encouraging. It seems like we're definitely in a better starting point than we were the last couple of years.
Last question for me. You're pretty fortunate with the way the schedule falls this year. I know you're getting a lot of JV opportunities. You have a large roster, a lot of new guys. You were just mentioning that how things played out in the fall, but I have to believe it's nice to be able to get those guys an opportunity to compete, even in a JV type setting, for you to be able to evaluate, and I'm sure you'll get some surprises along the way of some guys that might be able to be impactful once the varsity games get going.
I definitely think that's true. And again, going back to the fall, we really tried to change our approach in the fall during those inter squad games. You know, we we set up, two teams to play against each other. We had our old uniforms on, so that it would look like you were playing somebody from a different school. We had, teams wearing our old black uniforms, and our team was wearing the white uniform. So it had different dugouts being used. It was just much more of a competitive nature. And our goal when we recruit our young men to our program is we want them to see the light at the end of the tunnel being playing time. We don't guarantee playing time. We guarantee them the opportunity to compete for that playing time. But whether it's JV innings, whether it's varsity innings, whatever it is, it's that idea to get out there, play the game they love, and just really go after it. So the JV games have been a blessing this year, and getting to play that. We've already gotten to play two. We're open to play one or two more this week. And you're right, it gives us the opportunity to have guys in that competitive mode against somebody different than their own teammates. And that could bode well for some of them as far as maybe moving up into the varsity innings as well.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you spending some time with us. Wishing you the best this season, or excuse me, this week and the rest of the season. Excited that it's mid-March and you've already gotten the opportunity to play in Pennsylvania. So that's a
Sir,
blessing in itself.
absolutely.
So thanks so much.
Yeah.